Op-ed assignment. So like I referenced in the other video, you only have 2 weeks to get this one. So it's due Sunday, April 24th. Of course, like I mentioned before, you don't have to go out and interview somebody. You could, but you don't have to go out and interview somebody. So that will free up some time as far as having to wait to write this story until you get done an interview like you had to in the past assignments. So that's really that extra week for you. All right, you're going to write an op-ed on any topic, and it can be, global. We have plenty of that news now, so it could be an op-ed, an opinion piece on something that's going on internationally. It can be nationally, something that's going on domestically here in the United States, or you can get what they call local and hyperlocal, something in Connecticut that's very local, and something hyperlocal, something in your town, something that affects you know I guess this would also be macro, but your age group. Could be something that affects some niche that if you're a gamer in a certain kind of game that's coming out and you have an opinion on that. It could be that. So I'm giving you wide latitude here of what you want to cover. If you are unsure about something and you just want to figure out how to sharpen it, how to sharpen your opinion or your perspective on it, you can of course email me and we can work on it just to make sure you have a well-defined theme to it. But you really get to choose the topic that you feel that you have some expertise on, and the topic that you care about and want to write and inform others about. All right, here are the requirements: between 750 and 800 words. Has to have a clearly defined point within the first couple of paragraphs. So remember, I went over in that last. I'll take a step back here. These are all the guidelines that I gave you in the video and from that resource. So, if you are confused and you say, wait, I don't remember, what's a clearly defined point mean? What does it mean by clarity of thinking? You could, of course, watch that video that I do that goes over all that, or you can go back and read the resource for op-eds, read the article that I've posted, and you get an refresher on what that means. So that's what I'm grading on, right? The parameters set within that article. But now back to this clearly defined point of view, and also the key here that it's within the first couple of paragraphs. I have to know right from the start what this is about. You're giving me, this is that version of the lead. It's a little different than hard news and profile, but I still need to know early in the story, what point are you taking on this? Why should I continue to read? So that's the clearly defined point of view. As you know, different from the point, but still has to be within the first few paragraphs. So right from the start, I need to know, what is this op-ed about? What's the stance being taken? That's got to be very clear. I say a couple of paragraphs. You can't go any lower than 3. By the second, it should be very clear. What direction you're taking this. Attempt to influence the reader. Remember, the point of the opinion piece is that you are trying to persuade someone, usually, to get them to think about a new idea, a new way of looking at something. And so that's what I mean by influence the reader. The whole aim of the op-ed is after the person's read it, they feel differently, or they are thinking about something differently. That's what we're talking about, of course, by influencing the reader. Clarity of thinking. Again, that goes back to the article, but is this just train of thought right here, right? Is it just any thought that's coming in your head? You're just trying to put it together, or is there structure here? Does it make sense when you presented ideas, I'll rephrase it. Does it make sense when you presented the information in what part of the story, right? Why did you introduce that new piece of information there? Why did you say that line here? Does it connect to what you just talked about a second ago? Right? That's part of the clarity of thinking as we've gone over. Contain a strong, distinctive voice. I go over all that, of course, in another video. But you have to, by the end of it, this is where you get to have a little bit more creativity, I want to say. I know creativity is not even really the right word, but you get to put your angle on it a little bit more, right? You get to have your voice come out a little bit more. It doesn't have to be so formula driven. It doesn't have to be so structured as when you had to be completely objective in the hard news story and the profile story. This is the opposite of objective. You're being subjective here, which means you get to kind of put your style in it, your own unique voice in the way that you write this. Include evidence of research, and I've gone over that in the other video. But this is not just this is what I think. This is what I think. This is what I think, and here's why. And You give another example of somewhere else or someone else that's doing what you're saying. You show the stats behind it that can really prove why this is the best way to approach it, right? So you're making assertions throughout it. Of course, it's your opinion, but they should be backed up by something. That's what's going to make your argument the strongest. Here's what I think we should do. Here's why you should think this way. Here's, whatever it is that I'm asking. And look at the evidence that supports me. Look at all the information that shows this is the best way. And that's the part of the research. What can you find? It could be experts, right? It could be experts that have said something. You can use their quote. Of course, you're attributing where the quote came from. As reported by the Wall Street Journal, expert so-and-so says. So it could be experts. It could be statistics. That's always a big one. And data. It could be case studies. I think we should do this. And look, I think we should do this as a country, and look at this country doing the same thing and thriving. That's my evidence. I'm giving you an example. So you have different ways of showing evidence, but the point is it should not just be a tangent of what you think should happen. It should be a tangent of what you think should happen, and here's the reason why with your evidence. Follow the other lessons from the reading in the video. I go over others. These are the ones I'm grading on, but this is kind of my catch-all way to say, put together a strong opinion piece based on the lessons that we've been learning. And then also, I'll tail on that here, follow AP style, don't have spelling and grammar issues. That's the same from the beginning, and you're continuing on to do that here, right? No AP errors, at least the ones that you know about, and no spelling and grammar issues. Well, it's all part of the equation as far as the grading. All right, so like I said before, you are free to choose the topic, but you could always email me if you're unsure or you just feel like you have a general idea, but you don't know how to sharpen it. I could bounce ideas off. Of course, do that sooner than later because you only got 2 weeks to turn this around. But that is the assignment. Looking forward to reading these.